from Bungoma, Gongwa, MONBASA, MVITA, worshipping and industrialization. Today I'm going to talk about the great Egyptian Pharaoh, Ramses II, who ruled from 1279 to 1213 BC. Alternative spellings is Ramses. Rameses was known to the Egyptian as Usermaatresetepene. Usermaatresetepene. Keeper of harmony and balance, strong in right, elect of Ra or Osmandias, and Ramses the Great. This is the great Egyptian Pharaoh we talked about last time, and the Battle of Kadesh. He was not only known about the Battle of Kadesh. Ramses is a pharaoh whose family rose from being commoners. They were not born in the royal families, but the father was a great military tactician. They arose to that status, and Ramses became pharaoh because of that. That's how they arose to that status. Ramses is famous in his country of what he did when he was the pharaoh. He died at the year 90, around 1990 something. His was the second longest dynasty leader in that frame, and he did the following. He started the great industrial revolution in Egypt. When we talk of industrial revolution, we think of these things that started before people started building machines for weaving clothes and things like that. But Ramses, during his time, he had a great industrial revolution in Egypt. The more things change, the more they remain the same. Ramses had a factory, just like we have car factories, that he would make chariots for war. And these chariots, the wheels were made from willow trees, and he would make from different materials using leather dogs for holding so that it could not snap. And he had horses and stables and rods for testing these chariots. So it was just like a modern car factory. You manufacture, you test to see the reliability of the car. Ramses did not only stop there. Ramses led his country in agricultural reformation. A great pharaoh. He did not stop at that. Ramses led his country in worship. They built temples. They built obelisks, strong worship, stone carved, long stone carved from one piece, almost rising to the size of towers. Yes, he was known as son of Amun Ra. Ramses the Great also started industrialization of other factors, and he, like we saw in the other place where Ramses was involved, after the war, when they went to a draw, they wrote a treaty. They had a treaty with the Hittites. They had consistent wars, but later they had a treaty and lived in peace. Ramses built monuments that were only surpassed by the present American government. Ramses built his statue and everything at Abu Simbel on a mountain, carved in a mountain. It was the greatest things that ever stood until when the Americans now carved at Mount Rushmore, Dakota, the monuments of their first president. So all that time, nothing had surpassed it. It was the best, the highest, the biggest from that time of Ramses the Great. Ramses had around over 200 wives. He sired over 100 children and built a temple at Abu Simbel dedicated to his wife Nefertari. He had many wives, but that was the favorite. He escaped death in the Battle of Kadesh. We heard of the story of the story he loved telling, where he had to confront the Hittites with 10 chariots. What else can we add about him? He did so many great things that the people of Egypt used to worship him. And eventually, he declared himself God. So the first worshiping that people are now doing, God the person, because at the time he was the Son of God. Now he personally was being worshipped as God. He died of an old age, 90-something, from tooth problems, many ailments. That is how Ramses the second went. So you don't know. Maybe could have been the first time that people started worshipping a person, a human being, as God. Because pharaohs were seen as sons of God, but due to too much power and everything that was within, and the progress they were making, because he is known as Ramses the Great. That was Egyptians' golden age. But eventually he ended up declaring himself God. So the idea of people worshipping a man, like sometimes people do without knowing, originated from Ramses the second. That's why they say too much power corrupts. But he led Egypt in the greatest industrialization ever. So what do we learn from this? We learn that when you leave too much power to a person, first, he turns his subjects and sees them as animals, people of a lesser standing, and eventually he wants to be worshipped to be God. That's why the present leadership all over the world, people put checks and balances. You can pass votes of no confidence. You can be able to change things with the constitutions when you see things are running out of hand. Like the Americans, there was a time when I inquired from somebody, why do Americans sell weapons in shops? They sell even military caliber weapons in shops. And somebody said the Americans are jealousy about their independence. And they say they would like to be armed. So that in case one time a government arises that would like to suppress them, the people will revolt with their weapons. That is what I got from. I don't know how true it is. That's what somebody told me. And that's why people have license to buy arms. So that if a government arises that would like to suppress them, they will fight for their own independence. So we should always guard the independence we have. We don't have to go for arms like the Americans or other people. Let's use the arms that our constitutions give us. Yes. Anytime you see something running out of hand, use your constitution, the laws, as a weapon. So that you don't end up having somebody wanting to be worshipped. We've had places in the world where somebody arises as a king. Next you hear, he wants to be either, what were they calling, an emperor, things like that. So with the constitution, you can be able to check on those excesses. People of the world, the way we say it is for us to check. Because anybody would like to rise to the power where he can use the military force and everything to suppress you. But if you keep checking on those things worldwide, then you will keep the balance. You will donate powers to people to work on your behalf, but also the powers will not be too excess that they would want to be worshipped, just like Rams II ended up declaring himself God. That's my take for today.